think you could probably say that 24 hours after you hear. Yeah, probably. That's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the June 1st, 2022 Metropolitan Development Commission public meeting. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? To members of the commission, previously supplied to in your packet last Thursday were the minutes from the May 18, 2022 meeting. Are there any additions or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Moving forward, we have several resolutions on our agenda today. Replacing Nancy, who is very sick today, is Heather. Heather, welcome to Metropolitan Development Commission. Before we start, I would like everyone to go to resolution number 2022A-021. It was shown in the original agenda as not for public hearing. It is for public hearing today and did come out with notice, so we will have a public hearing on that matter. Heather, would you go ahead and read into the record the other resolutions, please?
Resolution 2022-R018 authorizes DMD to enter into an agreement for services to support planning process for the area near 3500 block of East Washington. Resolution 2022-R020 authorizes DMD to convey title or an option to purchase 14 properties to Martindale Brightwood Community Development Corporation for the prices listed on Exhibit A of the resolution in consideration of certain commitments to be made by Martindale Brightwood Community Development Corporation for the purpose of providing affordable housing in the neighborhood. Resolution 2022-R022 authorizes the director to enter into an amendment to the agreement with the Indianapolis Cultural Trail Incorporated regarding placemaking services to include additional services for the additional amount of $75,000. 2022-R023 authorizes DMD to convey title or an option to purchase 5 properties to Renew Indianapolis Incorporated for the sale prices listed on Exhibit A of the resolution in consideration of certain commitments to be made by Renew for the purpose of providing neighborhood development. Resolution 2022-E23 authorizes the director to enter into an agreement with Flanner House of Indianapolis Incorporated to cover costs of the services of a Build Back Better project manager and costs for pre-development of the Carrier Bryant site in an amount not to exceed $198,250. 2022 E24 authorizes the director to enter into an agreement with 16 Tech to cover costs of services of a 16 Tech intermediary position in an amount not to exceed $96,750. 2022 E27 authorizes the expenditure of $274,905 in funds from the Airport TIF Area Fund and authorizes the director to enter into an agreement with Yard and Company for the development of an Ameriplex Parkway Extension Corridor Plan. 2022 E28 determines the amount of incremental assessed value in each allocation area necessary to make principal and interest payments on bonds described in Section 26 of the Redevelopment Act. 2022 A21 for public hearing approves a final economic revitalization area for 863 Landmark LLC located at 863 Massachusetts Avenue, Council District 17, Center Township. Recommends approval for up to 10 years real property tax abatement. 2022 C006 authorizes Department of Metropolitan Development to enter into an agreement with Partners in Housing to provide supportive services to tenants living in permanent supportive housing in an amount not to exceed $165,000 from the Indianapolis Housing Trust Fund. 2022 C007 authorizes Department of Metropolitan Development to enter into an agreement with BWI LLC for the purchase and installation of security equipment at Penn Place Apartments, a permanent supportive housing development in an amount not to exceed $85,000 from the Indianapolis Housing Trust Fund. 2022 P006 for public hearing amends the rules of procedure of the Metropolitan Development Commission, Hearing Officer and Plat Committee of Marion County, Indiana. Provides for amendments required by state law and various other amendments related to functions of the Commission. 2022 P010 authorizes DMD to enter into an agreement with the Marion County Wellfield Education Corporation to provide for services to conduct general wellfield education and to register and provide targeted education for businesses that pose a potential risk to groundwater for a period of 3 years, ending December 31, 2024, for an amount not to exceed $110,000 per year. 2022 FS001 authorizes director to amend the current contract with Trajectory LLC for grant writing services to add $6,875 with a new DMD not to exceed amount of $16,625.
Thank you, Heather. Let me draw your attention to resolution number 2022 P006. Mr. Pleasant, you have some comments on that, please?
I do. Members of the commission, staff would like to withdraw resolution 2022 P006, which would require your acknowledgement.
So acknowledged. 2022 P006 has formally been withdrawn. We now have in front of us resolution number 2022 A021, which approves a final economic revitalization area for 863 Landmark LLC located at 863 Massachusetts Avenue, Council District number 17, Center Township. Recommends approval of up to 10 years of real property tax abatement. Staff, would you like to comment on this?
Members of the council, the staff recommends approval of this abatement.
Can you introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Jacob Strange, project manager for economic incentives.
And you are recommending approval?
Says.
Any other comments on it?
No, not at this time.
Any questions from members of the commission? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this today? Seeing none, we have before us resolution number 2022 A021. Commissioner Blackburn, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Bruns, can I get a second?
Brun, second.
Let me call the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns,
Bruns, yes.
Garver,
Garver, yes.
Hackett,
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher,
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is an aye. It passes 7-0. We now have before us the other 12 resolutions that have been read into the record. Are there any questions from members of the commission on any of the resolutions? Hearing none. Commissioner Garver, I'll accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Commissioner Hackett, I'll take a second.
Second.
Let me call the roll on these 13 remaining resolutions. Blackburn,
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns,
Bruns, yes.
Garver,
Garver, yes.
Hackett,
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher,
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is aye. They pass 7-0. Moving forward, do we have any withdrawals, resolutions, or continuance requests? Please come to the podium.
President Dillon, members of the commission, David Kingan with offices at 6180 East Market Street, here before you today on 3 of the petitions under your public hearing portion of your docket. The first being 2021 ZO N113, property located at 6670 East 38th Street. We had filed a request to withdraw this petition, and what we'd like the commission to so acknowledge, but we also did make a request to waive your 3-month refiling rule to allow us to file a more appropriate rezoning petition for this property.
Can you repeat yourself? I could barely hear you.
I'm sorry. We had asked that we withdraw the appeal hearing that we had scheduled or requested today, and also had made the request to allow us to file a new rezoning petition without waiting the 3-month refiling rule per your rules of procedure.
So you're making a special request asking us to waive the 3 months?
Please.
Because I'm so acknowledging the withdrawal.
Thank you.
Now you have a special request asking for the 3 months to be suspended.
Correct.
Understood. We have before us a special request on 2021 ZON 113. The request is that we approve the waiver of the 3 months waiting period. I will make the motion that we make the approval of the 3-month waiver, 3-month waiting period being waived. Can I get a second, please, from Commissioner Garver?
Sorry, Commissioner Dillon, can we hear from staff first?
Sure, Lena, we can hear from staff first.
Thank you.
Matt. Kathleen.
President Dillon, members of the commission, staff would not object to the waiver of that 3-month period, subject to the making sure and the petitioner's representative agreeing that there would be a substantial change from what was requested at this time and what would be requested.
Thank you, Kathleen. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll try again. We have before us a special request to waive the 3-month and give a waiver on the 3-month holding period on 2021 ZON 113. I'll make the motion. Commissioner Blackburn, can I get a second?
I second.
I'll call the roll. Dillon, no. Selm.
Selm, aye.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, no.
Blackburn.
Blackburn, no.
It passes 4-3, waiving the 3-month waiting period.
Thank you very much. This next petition, President Dillon, again, David Kingan with offices at 6180 East Market Street on 2022 ZON 028, property located at 4020 East 21st Street. We had filed a written request to continue this to your July 6th hearing to allow us to file with staff a amended site plan. If you'll look at the memorandum of the recommendation sent to you by the hearing examiner, she thought the rezoning might be appropriate, but had difficulty with the site plan, and we're trying to work with staff to amend that site plan to file with them and then be able to move forward on July 6th.
So your request is continuation of 2022 ZON 028 to July 6th?
Correct.
Staff, any comments?
Thank you, President Dillon. Staff would have no objection to the continuance of 2022 ZON 028 to the July 6th hearing. Would that be with or without notice, Mr. Keenan?
That would, I believe, would be without notice. Or let's leave it with or without notice if new notice is required.
What is your opinion, staff? Kathleen?
Well, I'm not sure what he means by with what's going to occur within this month.
Okay, I'll make the motion then.
Yeah.
We have before us a request to move 2022 ZON 028 to be continued to the July 6th meeting with notice. I'll make the motion. Can I get a second from Commissioner Blackburn?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is a no. It passes 6-1.
Thank you very much. And then our last request, the very next petition under the petitions for public hearing, 2022 CZN 804 and CVR 804, David Kingen with offices at 6180 East Market Street here before you. We also filed with staff a request to withdraw this petition, and similar to the first petition, we had asked for a request to waive the waiting period so that we could file a more appropriate rezone petition sooner rather than wait the 3-month waiting period.
Kathleen, are you handling this as well, or?
Actually, that's my petition. The withdrawal, of course, just takes your acknowledgement. The waiver of the 3-month filing period, staff is in support of that with the assurance from Mr. Kingen that the new petition will substantially be different than the current petition.
Thank you, Keith. We have before us 2022 CZN 804, 2022 CVR 804. We so acknowledge they've been withdrawn. We now have a special request asking that we waive the 3-month waiting period. I will make the motion that the special request on 2022 CZN 804, 2022 CVR 804 has been requested to waive the 3-month period. Commissioner Sum, can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Dillon is a no. Selm.
Aye.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Robinson. I'm sorry, Robinson's not here. Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, no.
Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
It passes 5-2.
Thank you very
It
much.
has been moved. The waiver's been granted.
Thank you very much.
President Dillon, members of the commission, staff would draw your attention to 2 petitions under petitions and no appeals, and both of them would need to be continued to the June 16th hearing pending receipt of executed commitments. And the first one is 2022 ZON 050 located at 5145 and 5155 South Meridian Street. Again, a continuance to June the 15th pending receipt of the executed commitments, and that would require a motion and a vote.
Thank you, Kathleen. Do I have a motion from Commissioner Selm to move 2022 ZON 050 to the meeting of June 15th?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Schumacher, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is an aye. It passes 7-0. You have another one, Kathleen?
Yes, thank you. 2022-ZON-055, located at 4501 North near Dearborn Street, again continued to the June 15th hearing pending receipt of executed commitments.
Before us, we have 2022-ZON-055, requested continuance to June 15th. Commissioner Schumacher, can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Hackett, can I get a second?
Second.
Calling the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is an aye. It passes 7-0. You have any more?
Yes, I do.
Keep going.
Two more. President Dillon, members of the commission, staff would draw your attention to two petitions under petitions for public hearing. Automatic continuances have been filed on those. The first one being 2022-ZON-034, located at 4915 Kessler Boulevard, East Drive, and that would just require your acknowledgement.
So acknowledged.
Thank you. And the second one is 2022-ZON-044, located at 8320 West 86th Street, and that would require your acknowledgement.
So acknowledged.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Are there any other withdrawals, continuances, special requests? Seeing none. Heather, can you read the petitions of no appeals into the record?
2022 APP 006, 7150 Clear Vista Drive, 7165 Clear Vista Way, Lawrence Township, Council District 4. 2022 MOD 003, 1620 Industry Drive, Warren Township, Council District 19, 2022 MOD 005, 4805 West 96th Street, Pike Township, Council District 1, 2022 ZON 014, 8604, 8610 Shelby Street, Perry Township, Council District 23, 2022 ZON 046, 4801 Kingsway Drive, Washington Township, Council District 9, 2022 ZON 053, 6920 Combs Road, Franklin Township, Council District 25, 2022 REG 016, 713 Greer Street, Center Township, Council District 16, 2022 REG 024, 815 South Meridian Street, 25 East McCarty Street, Center Township, Council District 16. That is the end of the no appeals docket.
Thank you, Heather. Members of the commission, we have before us 8 petitions of no appeals that have been read into the record. Commissioner Blackburn, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Bruns, can I get a second?
Bruns, second.
Let me call the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is an aye. It passes 7-0. Moving forward, Heather, can you read our first and only hearing for today?
(2022) ZON 029, 2730 East 86th Street, 8755 Haverstick Road, 2925 Sinclair Woods Drive, Washington Township, Council District 2, Green Indy LLC by Joseph D. Calderon, requesting a rezoning of 16.2 acres from the DP and DA districts to the DP district to provide for mixed-use development. All persons speaking on this today, please step forward to be sworn in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty for perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Petitioner, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Dillon, members of the commission, Joe Calderon.
Joe, give me a second, please. Let me
Sure.
make sure everyone in the room understands the rules of engagement. We will give the petitioner 15 minutes to present their case. We will then go to the remonstrators for 15 minutes. I will then call on staff for their comments and go back to the petitioner for 5 minutes rebuttal, and then go back to the remonstrator for 5 minutes rebuttal. Closing remarks by members of the staff, and then we will vote the matter. Joe, you're on the shot clock.
Thank you again. Joe Calderon, 11 South Meridian, Indianapolis. I represent the petitioner, Green Indy LLC. They are affiliate of Keystone Group, a local developer. We're very pleased to be here today to present what we think is a very comprehensive vision and proposal for one of the most important undeveloped quadrants of real estate in Indianapolis, and that is the northeast quadrant of 86th Street, Haverstick Road, and the Keystone off-ramp. The proposal today is for a DP and essentially replaces two previous DP zonings that were approved all the way back to 2005. One of those DPs contemplated a big box grocery store and townhomes. The other one, just to the north of that, also contemplated townhome development. We were last here 5 years ago. Some of you were present and served, and we presented a proposal for about 5.5 acres, or about a third of what we are presenting to you today. So why are we coming back? What's different? We think that all the significant differences between 2017 and today are in the positive. First of all, we are planning the entire 16 acres. Last time, as mentioned, it was about 1/3, and there were questions about what could happen with the other portions of the development that were not part of that proposal. Second, the plans that we are providing and presenting to you today reflect significantly more collaboration with neighbors, with your staff, and other agencies. It's a very thoughtful development, we think, and it reflects high design quality for both residential and commercial components, including appropriate transition to the north where single family still exists. Third, we come to you today presenting a development that is supported by the Northside Community Council, Councilors Potts and Boots, your staff, including both current planning, as well as DPW. DPW, of course, has looked at traffic, both the study that we proposed, provided to them, as well as proposed improvements. And we also have other neighbors. I'd like to turn things over to Kelly Mulder from Keystone, who will be walking you through the presentation that show up on your screen, and you have hard copies as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Kelly Mulder, 1095 Chatham Hills Boulevard, Westfield, Indiana. As Joe said, I was going to give you a brief overview of the site and talk about some of the background that we went through in this redevelopment. Next slide, please. So looking at the site plan, again, on the north side is where we have the townhomes. 35 townhomes total are proposed. That is the zone where they were currently approved at. It's a 3-story product, similar to most things you see around town, where it has a two-car garage on the base level, and then 2 levels of living that are above that. We orientated all the front doors to the Haverstick on that side. The garages are internal so that you don't see those, and then there's a new north-south road that's proposed. That again would have sidewalks, lighting, trees, and have all the front doors that face that. A lot of connectivity through the sidewalks. This entire site that we're going to talk about, that was a big component of this, making this a true live, work, play community, having the sidewalks so that, again, people from the north, south, any direction can get in and around this development. In the middle of the site, building number 2, which is against Haverstick, that is a proposed commercial building. It's 8,000 square foot max on the first floor. There's an option for an additional 4,000 on the second. We see that as a high-end restaurant opportunity, something that a local restaurateur could come in and use. Again, for this development, which we feel is going to be extremely special. That wouldn't get built until we had that relationship set up and somebody that was willing to come in to do that. Building number 5 is a hotel in the middle of the site. That's a max of 5 stories and a max of 150 keys. We currently do not have a hotel brand name set up at this point. It would be an upscale hotel, probably still select service, but custom to the extent that it's in this development. Building number 6 is an office. It would be a 3-story max. There's 60,000 square foot in that total. That would also not be built on spec. It would be built once we had a tenant in place, again, fitting for this development. Building number 3 is in the middle. That's another mixed-use development. Again, we see another restaurant that would go there. It's 10,000 square foot max on the first level, 6,000 optional on level 2, with an outside terrace area that spills over and looks into the public park and green area, which is labeled as A. I'm going to talk about that a bit more here in a minute. Building number 4 on the south side, that is the mixed-use building that contains the 42,000 square feet of retail. Most of it's along the 86th Street. It turns north on the 2 sides. That building kind of looks like a C. That's where the retail is. As you go a little further north on the first floor, that's where the amenity space is for the apartment buildings. Next slide. This is that building that I'm just describing right now. On the left-hand side is 86th Street. On the right-hand side is the off-ramp for Keystone. Again, you're seeing all the retail that's on the base level. This is a 5-story product. It's the same size and height as Ironworks, which is on the other side. It's pulled up to the street like Ironworks, so there's a lot of similarities in that sense between the 2 projects. What's different is we wanted to look different architecturally, so we were introducing a lot of buff colors that we're going to have would be stone, buff colors would be brick. We're going to have some architectural metal panels in the bronze, a lot of glass on the 2 corners, and then cementitious material, but it's going to look like wood on the other. So kind of looking for more of a timeless look that, again, has a modern flair to that. Next slide. Also starting to look at what it looks like at dusk and in the nighttime. There'll be signage that will be on that corner to differentiate, again, this from across the street. Next slide. So this we're really excited about. This kind of came through the evolution, again, with a lot of conversations with many, many people. It's how do we get, number 1, preserve trees, which I'm going to talk about, and number 2, get some activity for all the neighbors and the public that can come in. So this particular location we mimicked off of, if you've ever been up in Carmel, just off of the Monon, next to where Sun King Brewery is. There's a really active outdoor area for families and kids and really people of all ages to come and hang out. The next slide. This is zooming in on it a little bit. Again, really looking at how the people that live here can use this, or anyone can walk to this and enjoy this space. Next slide. This gives a little bit of example. We're going to have some shaded areas. You're going to have some swings. You're going to have places for kids that they can specifically play. There's a pop-up water park area for kids. We'd have the outdoor games that you've seen, like the park that was up in Carmel. So again, just really trying to activate this as much as possible. What you're seeing in the background here, and I think, go one more slide, please. That's zooming in a little bit. That's that 2-story, 10,000 max on the first level retail building. Again, you get the flavor of it. Level 2 opens up onto this. Just really creating that energy in the center of that site. And again, we think this really differentiates us from across the street Ironworks that has a pretty big parking lot in the middle, which is where we started, but again, through evolutions of the design, we brought this public component back into it. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about the trees here in a minute, but one big move we had to do to preserve a lot of the land on this is to move parking underground. So this is about 500 spaces that you're seeing underground. That north garage would be directly below where the office is and the hotel, and the south parking garage is directly below the multifamily. Next slide. Sorry, and on the parking as well, because of that, we do not need any variances for parking. We do meet code. So we're looking at the trees, a big move that we met. Obviously, there's been a lot of concerns on this site through the history to preserve as much trees as we possibly can. As you see in the green on the right-hand side of this, there's about 3 acres that are inside of our property. There's another 2 acres that are in the right-of-way, so around 5 acres total that would be preserved and we would not have to touch. In order to do that, we had to do the 2 things. One, we had to do the underground parking like we just talked about, and then also there's that sliver of land that you see in the north. That used to be, the whole thing was going to be an above-ground detention pond. So again, to preserve the trees, we're proposing underground detention in the middle of the site. Next slide, please. The last thing is a traffic study. We obviously had to do a traffic study based on what we're proposing here today and the current plan. Through that, they had specific recommendations for us. It's a right-hand turn westbound on 86th Street that we're prepared to do, a new right-hand turn off of Haverstick that goes into the development, a new dedicated left-hand turn heading southbound onto 86th Street, and then a right turn and through street on the right-hand side of Haverstick heading southbound. And with doing those those moves right there, and that allows us to keep all conditions at an acceptable level of service, exactly where they are here today. Joe, I think with that, I'll turn it back to you to continue the discussion.
Thank you, Kelly. Just to kind of summarize our efforts, this has not been weeks or months, ladies and gentlemen. We've literally been working on this for the last few years, trying to come up with ideas and a plan, collaborating with our neighbors, and something that would make sense given the existing conditions in this quadrant, as well as the existing conditions adjacent. So we have collaborated regarding sidewalks, putting our parking underground, tree preservation. Actually, every building that you see, we will have its own tree preservation plan submitted to staff. We have taken significant time to understand amenities that are important. We have put all of these things into commitments that are attached to the DP plan, so you don't have to take our 15-minute presentation and that's all you understand. All of this is in writing. Keep in mind that the previously approved plan really called for very little tree preservation other than a commitment to preserve as much, but the site plan showed very little. Here, as Kelly has stated, we are preserving 3 on our property, 2 additional acres in the right-of-way. So a significant amount. We appreciate staff's analysis of the DP plan that we've put forth in comparison to your comprehensive plan, and we're grateful. We have incorporated their recommendations into our DP plan. I think Kathleen will testify to that. I would like to wrap up now and have Brian Robinson from Nora Northside and Neil Sinclair, a longtime resident of the area, speak just for a moment or two before we wrap up.
Hello, my name's Neil Sinclair. I was raised at 2925 Sinclairwood Drive. Our family has the land just north of this development. I've watched their proposals develop over the years. I think it looks like a terrific project, and my family's 100% behind it. Thank you.
I'm Brian Robinson. I live in the Nora area, and I am on the board for the Nora Northside Community Council. I'm here to represent them, and I'm sure everyone is aware of the vigor to which the Nora Community Council vets developments in the area, and it's important to note that this development has achieved unanimous support from the council, and it's been because of the communication and the adjustments that have been made over the years, and Keystone has done a great job, and we stand in support of this development.
Thank you. I think we're concluded with our presentation. And
questions for the
happy
petitioner?
to answer any questions.
Questions for the petitioner?
I have a question, and maybe I missed this, but the current traffic, so that would be westbound on 86th Street, isn't there currently a light at the off-ramp?
There is a light.
So we're adding another light, like...
You're right, basically adding a dedicated right turn lane to help facilitate traffic to get to Haverstick.
Okay, thanks.
But not a stoplight.
There is a stoplight already at Haverstick.
Yeah.
So part of the traffic study does have some timing type of issues and recommendations, as well as pedestrian crosswalks.
Okay.
The key change at the intersection of 86 and Haverstick will be construction of a dedicated left turn lane for southbound traffic. A lot of the bottlenecks are you get stuck behind somebody that wants to turn left and you want to go right, and it's just queued with a backup situation. So we believe that by doing that, and DPW agrees, that will alleviate a lot of the issues at that light.
Okay, great. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions? Total cost of the entire project, Counselor?
Pardon me?
Total cost of the entire project?
Mr. Mulder, do you know what the mixed-use building investment might be? tens of millions for sure. They don't have an estimated cost, but it's going to be tens of millions. And frankly, all the improvements that are being suggested are on the developer's nickel.
What's your per door cost on the townhouses?
In the townhouses or the
Correct.
apartments?
On the townhouses.
As far as the costs go, they'll still be calculated. They'll be selling for in the high 400s, we anticipate.
Your per door cost on the apartments to build them?
Again, it's still being calculated because it's going to be mixed in with the retail that's below and all the parking that's below that. So it's a number we're still working on, but we honestly don't have that broken down to that level yet.
What?
Go ahead, Alpha.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We do not have the total cost broken down at this point in time.
And you don't have a budget number that you're focused on for the entire project?
Again,
Tens of millions is not an answer in my book.
It's going to be 80 million plus. I mean, again, it kind of depends on some of these things, like the hotel might be that might not be that height, might not be that caliber. These are maxes that we're putting in here. Same thing with office, wouldn't go until we actually got it in there. So we did not do a complete pro forma to be comfortable to say what that number is, just because that's just where we are in the process. But I mean, we feel comfortable with. We do a lot of multifamily development, so again, this area, there's a lot of demand that we see in it, and it's a legacy project, like we said, for our owner, who is going to be a long-time holder of this. So it's not a situation he's going to have to build something and flip out of it. He's going to own it for the rest of his life, as far as we know. So it's a long-term hold.
Any other questions from members of the commission? Thank you. Would the remonstrators please come forward? I want to remind the remonstrators you have...
Clark Kahlo, 4454 Washington Boulevard.
Art, hang on a second. I want to remind remonstrators you all have 15 minutes as a group.
We know the rules.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat myself. You have 15 minutes as a group. Have you been sworn in?
I have. 2 others have not. They will need to be sworn in.
Thank you. Please continue.
I'll just take a brief minute here, please. I was involved in 2018 when this was first heard by the commission, and was that the petition at the time was rejected 5-3, and then, as you may recall, it was litigated because the Nora Community Council had worked with the developer to work out a settlement, which the Driftwood Hills people were never made part of that process. So the Johnson County Court found with the Driftwood Hills people and sustained their objections. So in the meantime, I just want to remind the commission the comments that were made a few minutes ago about tree preservation really are ludicrous. If you recall, they clear-cut the site during the period of litigation, which we thought was incredibly outrageous. But I'm not going to take the time here. I've not been involved in this current remonstrance. I was involved in 2018 primarily on behalf of the Indiana Forest Alliance, which had an interest in saving the natural heritage of the site. The natural heritage of the site more or less does not exist now, so I've not been involved. But I do, for just general information purposes, I'm going to pass to you some literature about the Indiana Forest Alliance's Forest for Indy program. We think it's very important that this community start looking very closely at how to preserve what natural heritage that we have remaining, so I'll pass these forward. Thank you.
Sir, we need to swear you in, if we may, please. Heather?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
My name is Anthony Furdock. I'm a resident of Driftwood Hills. I live at 8804 El Rico Drive, which is kind of in the heart of Driftwood Hills, and I've been a resident there for 11 years now. Given the developments of the Ironworks Hotel, many developments north on Westfield Avenue, Westfield Boulevard, we've seen an increase in traffic through our neighborhood as it is. And with this development coming in, I'm really concerned that traffic's going to become more and more of an issue. A lot of people take Haverstick, El Rico, Manderley as shortcuts up to 91st Street over to Westfield and such. And a lot of these people, since they're just passing through, have no consideration at all for children playing in the streets, people walking their dogs, whatever. We don't have sidewalks in our neighborhood. So traffic through the neighborhood is quite an issue, and my biggest concern is the traffic that a development like this is going to add. I'll echo Clark's sentiments about the tree preservation. Most of the site has already been clear cut. There's not a lot of preservation that can be done from here out. And I don't see a development like this bringing any advantages to our community. And I'm definitely not in support of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. Sir, have you been sworn?
No, I have not.
Heather, would you please swear him in?
I do. My name is James Haney. I live at 8816 Manderley Drive in Driftwood Hills. I've been in the neighborhood for over 32 years. I'm speaking today as a resident and representative of Driftwood Hills, a neighborhood of over 300 homes nearest to the subject land. The property again comes to you after several years of litigation, which established standing for neighbors to sue for quality of life issues, and as you know, has become a legal precedent in Indiana. This is no ordinary case. This is a direct threat to the city's comprehensive plan and its rules of guidance laid down by years of precedence by your predecessors. A dangerous precedent is before you. The dense commercialization of the north side of 86th Street, west of Keystone, and the destruction of the comprehensive plan will haunt the city of Indianapolis and the MDC for years to come. It reminds me of Groundhog Day. Each submitted plan by this developer has been rejected by the MDC or litigated. The proposal is way beyond any previously rejected plan by 10-fold or 100-fold. If this case is approved, it will become precedent upon which intense urban sprawl will commence quickly from West 86th and Keystone to any and all areas of the city. This land has been designated as a critical area by the comprehensive plan over the years. The commercialization, the traffic, the degrading of the area are all very real concerns. Your staff knows how difficult it is to speak truth to power, and the owner of this property exerts an uneven balance, a leg up over our 300 homeowners who have invested thousands of dollars over the years on our properties. The case must be viewed objectively and see what it will do to our investments, our roads, our traffic, our safety, and specifically how it will affect our quality of life. Our lives, how would you deal with this if it was in your neighborhoods? This is not a not in my backyard kind of case. It's about the whole scale of the development. We're not against housing. We're just against commercialization and this 16 acres sweeping through. In 2006, this site was proposed for 60 townhomes and 60,000 square feet and a 2-story grocery store, which was never built. This property sat because of its critical nature and environmental sensitivity under the comprehensive plan. In 2018, the same owner before you proposed a similar 60,000 two-story building on 5.8 acres, which is denied for the same reasons we're speaking of today. Density, traffic, lack of communication, exclusions from any deliberations concerning the neighborhood issues. The current process mirrors the 2018 litigation in both substance and effect. No serious or real negotiations have occurred between parties in this case. To make it less dense, to provide for open spaces, to save specific features, to mitigate traffic, to maintain mandatory tree canopy, or to protect my neighbor's investments. The petitioner must believe that you who sit for our city will simply perform a typical rubber stamp action and accept destruction of the comprehensive plan just to move this property toward taxation. The Northside Community Council heard this matter without notifying my neighbors of it as an agenda item in April of 2022. Thus, the neighborhood did not appear at the NOR meeting because they didn't know it was on their agenda. NORA Community Council's opinion here adds little value to this case, and no objection is not 100% support. The failure of this developer and owner and the Northside Community Council to work with us is a reoccurrence of the failure of the democratic process, that a certain give and take involving any successful zoning process is required. Up to this point, we are all losers, except for one party. Up to this point, any fair dealing has been absent. The project manager and staff met with us recently. No concessions were offered, such as the height of buildings, the decrease in density, traffic out of the neighborhood, hotel operations, which are all threats to the quality of our lives and our property values. This property keeps reappearing on your agenda because it remains the wrong answer. Too dense, too tall, too commercial, unsafe, conflicts with the comprehensive plan, environmentally ill-advised, not supported by the neighborhood organizations, no communications with us, no give and take, and inordinately worse than any previously denied request. It's obvious to any reasonable view that this case is not ready for hearing today. The petitioner should be made by you to work with us, knowing that you are not rubber stamping their over-the-top requests and that their monies are not worth more than our investments. Because of unexpected complications from our second remonstrator, I want to make sure that this gets entered into evidence. It's a PowerPoint plan that was going to be given by Aaron Eubanks. And we, the residents and taxpayers in the immediately adjoining area, implore the Metropolitan Development Commission to continue this case for 60 days and encourage negotiations with us and staff, or outright denial, awaiting a completely new proposal that suits the size of the property. All parties need to be winners in this. You can now make this, you can make it so in this extraordinary case. I appreciate your considerations, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to address this commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sir, have you been sworn, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner, I have.
Please introduce yourself and your address.
My name is Patrick Sweeney. I am a resident of Haverstick Road, 9230. Commission, I have found out, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, I have found out about this through emails and pamphlets that passed out through our mailboxes. I have no organization. Our street is just a street, but I have been there since 2017. I have enjoyed walk through the cemetery and seeing the stars because there's not enough light pollution because of the unique location. I've seen the deers jump across, the coyotes, the foxes, the Hawks, very, very blessed. And every new person comes and says, I cannot believe a place like this exists with inside 465. We are blessed. We have challenges, though. I'm on well water, and so are my neighbors. We don't have sewer. We have septic. Now, some of us, I guess, paid the $12,000 before 2017, but when I bought the house, it was on well, and I know there are other well neighbors. An underground parking garage. Digging that will have an impact. According to the EPA's website, that's one of the biggest concerns for a person who owns a well. I have people already turning around in my drive because of the traffic. Already, there's no other big reason to come around, but they can't believe it dead ends on 465 because they can't see anything. And they drive, and they get to because I'm on the end of the road, and you do a U-turn in my driveway. We do have a lot of traffic going through. I understand the concerns of the previous speakers, and they are there, but this property should have remained single-family homes. We are that purpose to serve that. Now, I know in the proposal about the real estate also being mixed use in the buildings. Wall Street Journal had the article just as recently as May talking about how the companies throughout the U.S. are flooding the market with office spaces that are unleased and aggravating on already teleworking organizations that have already made their situation untenable. So they are going to add to that by creating more office space? How many strip malls in Indianapolis do we already have that are abandoned, not being revised? Lafayette Square. What, we need more? Housing is okay. I'm actually thinking that housing is what we need. Taxpayers that own houses and buy from Home Depot and Lowe's and the others and Sullivan Hardware, these are what the market needs, more houses, single family. But I am come here to first also with the environmental impact on my well water. I like to drink, and my son loves the well water, even with the everything else. So traffic, yes, my well water, and also we need houses, not more office space, and not more strip malls. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Remonstrator's time is up. Do we have questions for remonstrators from the commission? Hearing none. Staff.
Thank you, President Dillon, members of the commission. You'll note that staff is recommending approval of this request. Typically, or in the past, staff has not supported the development of this site, and that's for two reasons. Mr. Cauldron also indicated that the most recent one just dealt with a very small portion of the site. This is more comprehensive. It looks at the entire site. That's one reason. And the second reason is that since that filing of the previous petition, there's a new comprehensive plan. This site has two recommendations. The first one, on the southern portion of it, is the village mixed use, and that's generally pedestrian scaled amenities. The northern part of this site is recommended for a traditional neighborhood, and that's where they are putting those townhomes, which is an acceptable and it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. So generally speaking, this project does in fact represent and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Now, there's a recommendation in the pattern book that indicates that the large-scale multifamily housing is not recommended on those environmentally sensitive areas. And this obviously has been designated as an environmentally sensitive area. But the area where this will be located has already been cleared. So it doesn't really have an impact on the woods that are there, because the woods are no longer there, unfortunately. Staff is, again, because of the village mixed use and pedestrian scale and oriented activities, staff feels very strongly about a need for pedestrian connectivity throughout the site. Mr. Cauldron, as well as the other representative, I think was Mr. Kelly, has indicated that that is throughout the site. And when it comes in for admin approval, staff will be looking very closely at the pedestrian connections there. Staff has also requested, and Mr. Calderon indicated it's now a commitment, that there be a sidewalk installed along 86th Street, and the width of that, depending upon whether there's a tree lawn or not a tree lawn. So staff has been in conversations with the Department of Public Works as it relates to those sidewalks and the width of those sidewalks. Staff would like to clarify a couple of points in the report on page 65. Staff makes a reference to sign regulations, but in fact, the DP statement that it was submitted and it is required, they have submitted a sign program. So it was an error on staff when I referenced the sign regulations. It should be the sign program. And we referred to, and they have referred to that, and they have a substantial sign program, which frequently you don't find with DP, so staff was pleased about that. Again, staff believes that this is supportive because it is consistent with the comprehensive plan of the village mixed use on that southern portion and the traditional neighborhood on the northern portion. There are a couple of comments, and I know that it was mentioned in Councilor Potts' letter of support. There are two existing trees, a chinquapin oak and a red oak, and staff makes a note in the staff report that all efforts should be made to save those, and Councilor Potts made that reference also. And with that, staff would be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Members of the commission, questions for staff? Petitioner, you have 5 minutes rebuttal.
Thank you. I'll leave the last minute to Mr. Mulder to sum up. I do think he has some of the investment information you were looking for, President Dillon. First of all, let me say this.
I hope so.
First of all, the site has not been totally clear-cut by any stretch of the imagination. There was some acreage that was cut in the fall of 2017 in anticipation that the developer was going to develop per the 2005 site plan. There still is an awful lot of tree inventory and an awful lot of area that, if you've driven by there, that you can't see, particularly coming off the Keystone ramp, that will be either preserved and mitigated. Every single building area will have to have its own particular tree preservation plan, as Kathleen said. We empathize with the neighbors as far as traffic is concerned. We're actually bringing solutions to a problem that already exists. In our commitments, we have also agreed to collaborate with the neighbors to apply for infrastructure grants that the city does offer for matches for extended sidewalks beyond our property line and any other thing that the council may want to do in terms of traffic calming. We don't control stop sign placements, speed bumps, and things like that we've heard over and over and over again. We are proposing solutions to the traffic situation, and our study, which has been accepted by DPW, calls for very specific things, all of which are in our DP statement and we're committed to on our nickel to help resolve traffic issues. The comprehensive plan is just a guidebook. Our use plan, we think, matches what the comp plan calls for in this area. We are very consistent with what is across the street. This is a corner that is hugely important for Indianapolis, as you all know. Simon invests and reinvests all the time at the Fashion Mall, just on the other side of Keystone. Ironworks has grown and expanded. That's a lot of the flavor. It's not going to be single-family housing. It's not even zoned for single-family housing. It's zoned for commercial, big box grocery, and townhomes. Our townhome development is that northern transition piece. So we plucked a lot of the elements that we felt were important and made sense from a transitional standpoint with the existing neighbors. With all due respect, we have a few neighbors here Driftwood was participant at an in-office meeting at Keystone last October of 2021. I personally have met with Russ Sipes, who was their attorney at one time, several times between 2017 and 2021. In fact, Mr. Sipes filed the automatic continuance to get to today on behalf of the neighborhood organization. We went through the DP process, which includes invitations to Driftwood and any other registered neighborhood organization to participate in DP meetings. They didn't show. We reached out January, February, March, nothing. We had to go with who would engage with us at formal meetings and other informal meetings, and that's Nora Northside, and we earned their support or no objection. That's how they vote. That should mean a lot. That's significantly different than 2017. As far as light pollution and things of that nature, we've got commitments as far as the type of lighting fixtures we can use, same with sound and other nuisance type factors. So we think as a whole our development fits your comp plan, is consistent with what's been developed, will provide for some infrastructure improvements, tree preservation, other things that we think the commission can be proud of in a few years when this comes to fruition. I'll let Kelly just talk about the investment for the multifamily mixed-use building.
So for building number 4, the biggest one that's against 86th Street that has the apartments and the mixed use, we were going to average about $300,000 per unit on that one. So that's about an $82.5 million investment on just the south building on 86th Street. Yes.
Those are the apartments. What about the townhouses?
Townhouses, that'll be about a $10.5 million investment.
Excuse me, per door?
Yeah, it's around 300, same. And that will be a for sale product.
Any estimates on the hotel?
Hotel will be approximately 25 million, and the office is probably about 15 million.
150 rooms in the hotel?
Yes.
No flags been identified?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Final questions for the petitioner? Jim, are you leading for the remonstrators? Do you have any other questions, any statements for rebuttal?
I'm sorry, Mr. Dillon, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for who was going to lead the remonstrators on rebuttal. Is that you?
Me? Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. Rewarding cutting of the trees by the owner is really a despicable practice. It allowed him to claim that the tree mitigation plan no longer works because there's 2 trees left on that property. A 5-story building does not make the comprehensive plan, which is what the hotel plans for. Hotel is a 24-hour use structure, and it's not fit for the residential orientation of the neighborhood. Traffic will be coming in and out of there at all hours. It's a security issue for us also. Small-scale housing requires 6 to 25 per acre, and I believe the townhouses and doesn't quite qualify, although I'm not exactly sure at this moment. Small-scale retail, according to the comprehensive plan, does not meet 2 buildings at 60,000 square feet each, along with a hotel, and a restaurant, and buildings that they haven't actually described what they plan to use them for. That's it for me.
Yes, sir.
Clark Hollow, again, just a brief word. I think the point that was made a moment ago about the surpluses in the office market is a valid point, and I'm sorry I don't have any data to bring to it, but this commission just adopted a Castleton area revitalization plan a year ago maybe, and it's well known and obvious that the disinvestment that's occurred not too far away in the Castleton area in the office market. So I'm sorry, again, I don't have details on that, but I think it's worthy of consideration. And also, I would say there's been talk about the loss of that forest cover there, and Mrs. Black mentioned Councilor Potts' letter in terms of his concern about the chinkapin oak and the red oak, 2 trees that are of concern. I only have 2 of these, and I'm keeping one, but it's a photograph of the actual clearing that has occurred. Mr. Calderon referred to it as relatively minor, but I'm going to pass it forward for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Any other comments from remonstrators? Yes, sir.
As I said, this is Patrick Swinney. I'm on Haverstick, and our neighbors, we all have mailboxes. And I have to admit, I was not in any of the previous negotiation. I found out because neighbors photocopied this information. In fact, if I may say, I'm here because a neighbor put this in my mailbox. The back and the front, photocopied, put in everyone's mailbox. Anyone who cared about finding out what your neighbors think would have done the same thing. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Seeing no comments from the remonstrators, I'll let staff give a conclusion, please.
Thank you, President Dillon. Members of the commission, staff would have no further comments unless you have questions.
You stand in approval, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Any final questions for staff? Thank you, Kathleen. We have before us 2022 ZON 029. Commissioner Bruns, I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
Commissioner Garver, accept the second.
Second.
I will now call the roll. Blackburn.
Blackburn, yes.
Bruns.
Bruns, yes.
Garver.
Garver, yes.
Hackett.
Hackett, yes.
Schumacher.
Yes.
Selm.
Selm, aye.
Dillon is an aye. It passes 7-0. 2022 ZON 029 has passed.
Thank you.
Counselor, can you come forward, please? The numbers that you gave me are similar to the numbers that Ironworks used. And whether anybody likes the facility or doesn't like the facility, it's a quality build. And I'll be watching very closely on the quality of this build with these numbers.
We appreciate that. This will be something I think the whole community can be proud of.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Members of the commission, I don't see any further business before us today. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Bruns, so moved.
Thank you. We are now adjourned.